Community Health here in Gray County. And I'm the one that you've been receiving a lot of your correspondence from. So I thought it'd be nice to put a face and a name together. As we're getting started, one of the things I'd like for you to do is mute your mics. That way we won't have any feedback. And then also, if you will cut your videos, I'm going to try to cut my video. What that will do is save on the bandwidth, and that should make our PowerPoint presentation and the streaming go a little bit smoother. Today, we have Carolyn Creel Bennett, who will be monitoring our chat. So if you've got questions or comments, then if you will put those in the chat box, Carolyn will be monitoring those. If she deems that she needs to stop me right then so that we can get that question asked at that moment, we'll do that. If not, then we'll have a time at the end of the presentation for questions and answers or comments if we have those. So if there's nothing else that I need to cover, let's see, Mandy is going to record this. I think that's already started. Then I'm going to see if I can figure out how to cut my video so that we can get started. And y'all bear with me because with this, that's not working. There we go. I'm kind of new at this, so sometimes I do a really good job and sometimes I don't. So I don't know how to get that off, so maybe that won't be quite as obtrusive there. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our third session today, which is on, okay, my clicker worked just a minute ago. Come on. Not working. Now my PowerPoint's not working. There we go. On mindful breathing, this is the third lesson in the series. And today's objectives is to understand how breathing can help the mind and body connection. Oh, wait. Stop. I thought I had this fixed. I'm running into the same thing you other ladies ran into. Okay, let's see if we can go back. Okay, we'll see if we've got this where it's not on auto. It's really weird. Okay, it's still on auto. I may have to talk quick, y'all. That's sometimes hard for me. All right, somebody that knows what they're doing, tell me.
If you exit or if you close, go back to the, like where you can edit the PowerPoint.
Okay. Right here?
Yes, and then go to, go to animations.
Or transitions.
Yeah, one of those. Yes, so over on the far right where it says advanced slide, click that button that says on mouse clicks off. See, there's a little check mark. Okay, now try it.
I've never had this problem before. Let's see. Sorry about that, y'all. It's all glitchy. All right, so let's try that again. Okay, so today our objective is to understand how breathing can help the mind and body connection. And nope, that didn't do it. Well, I feel silly. How about we take that off?
Change the play narrations maybe too. Or under monitor automatic. No, that's not it. I'm sorry.
Joanne, go back to transitions. Okay, and click on mouse click. Is that right, Kristen?
I
I
had
thought
to,
she-
it was clicked. I had to unclick it to get it. That's what worked. for me
Okay,
last
all
time.
right. I misunderstood. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's try this again. Y'all, I'm really embarrassed. I thought that I had this fixed. So today we're going to practice breathing mindfully, and I'll be glad to practice that here in a minute. And we're also going to set a SMART goal to practice mindful breathing. So in setting the stage for today, one of the things that we ask each of the participants to do is be present for the class. And what we're really referring to is shut out all those outside things. It may be the dishes in the sink, or it might be the list of things that we have on our to-do list, or it might be the kids in the other room working on their homework that you know that they need some help with. But for this class time, let's just put all of that to the side and focus on what's going on in our class. We also encourage you to practice your homework between classes. And that's where we're going to get the most benefit, is when we practice the mindfulness. And then bring a non-judgmental attitude. Sometimes some of the activities that we're going to ask you to do might feel a little funny, or we might be a little uncomfortable, or it just might seem silly at the time. But if we come into this non-judgmentally and go through the process, then we may feel like we're actually gaining or learning from that. Today we're going to talk about just breathe. Everyone knows how to breathe. We don't even have to think about that. But today we're going to talk about intentional breathing can influence our mind and our body health. And that's really where we're wanting to do, is being intentional. So our first activity today is going to be a breathing exercise. And it's really not an exercise. I'm going to time your breathing for 30 seconds. Now I'm going to tell you when to start and when to stop. And all I want you to do is count the number of inhales and exhales that you have. So if I inhale, that's 1. The next time I inhale, that's 2, that type of thing. And we're going to do that for 30 seconds if I can get my timer up and running again. So I'm going to say begin, and you'll start, and then I'll tell you when to stop. So begin. Stop. Now what I'd like for you to do is just jot down that number on a corner of a piece of paper or on your notes page that you downloaded. And we're going to come back to that number a little bit later in our presentation. So next, what I'd like to do is ask you to think of a time when you were aware of your breathing. Just think about that. When you were aware of when you were breathing. Now, it could have been when you were gasping for breath after listening to a funny joke, or it could be when you've been sobbing and you're struggling for that air. Or it might be when you're out exercising and you've just run a ways. It could be that you are a singer and you're in the choir and you have to think about when you're going to put those breaths in. Or maybe you play a wind instrument and you have to think about your breathing then. Or you have to consciously think, take a deep breath when you're at the doctor's office and they tell you to take a breath. Now, typically, we don't think or pay any attention to our breathing because it happens automatically. Our body and our brain take care of us in that way. But breathing is one of the very first physiological processes that functions both voluntarily and involuntarily, because we can force ourselves to breathe when we need to. Now, there's two types of breathing. There's chest breathing, and chest breathing uses secondary muscles in your upper chest. Chest breathing is designed to be used in situations of great exertion, such as a sprint or a race. During stressful situations, you may inadvertently resort to chest breathing. This can lead to tight shoulder and neck muscles. It can even lead to headaches. Chronic stress can magnify these symptoms. Then we have diaphragmatic breathing, which comes from the body's dominant breathing muscle, the diaphragm. This type of breathing is more effective and efficient, and it can lead to feelings of relaxation instead of tightness. Now, research shows that breathing practices can benefit our body. It decreases stress and regulates our body's level of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. It strengthens our immunity by altering genes responsible for stronger immunities. And it can reduce pain and the activation of the pain centers in the brain. That's when a lot of us have learned some breathing techniques is during Lamaze classes to help in that childbirth. Now, respiration rate or our breathing correlates with our psychological well-being. Boy, I get myself tongue-tied there sometimes. The breath is linked to the autonomic nervous system, and daily breathing practices activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is associated with resting and digesting, and gives us a more peaceful mind and body. Now, when we're using the definition of mindfulness, let's compare it to mindful breathing. Our purpose is to watch and observe our breath. We are not changing it, we're only observing it. The breath is what's going to keep us in the present moment. When other thoughts come to mind, we go back to watching our inhaling and our exhaling. The non-judgment part of this moment is not to critique or judge our bodies. I want you to picture a baby, or maybe a puppy or a kitten. When they breathe, you can watch their little bellies rise and fall. It's usually pretty cute too. When we watch our breathing, you can observe your breath in your nose, in your mouth, in your chest, and even your belly. We can talk about the benefits of breathing all day, but it's the action of practicing mindfulness that makes it work. It's the action of practicing mindful breathing that allows the breath to be the anchor between our mind and body. We can use our breath as a reminder of a way to focus when our mind is busy, jumping around, like in the monkey mind that Kristen and Molly talked about last week. Something I want you to remember is there is no right or wrong way to breathe. Breathing through our nose helps filter the warm air. So, according to the American Academy of Otolaryngology, do your lungs a favor and take care of your nose. When focusing on breathing, inhale into the entire lung, not just the top part. When we fill our lungs to the lower lobe, this is going to result in our bellies rising. And then exhale all the way. Feel the lungs contract. Here's a description of how to watch your breathing from the Mayo Clinic. Feel each breath as it moves in and out. You can observe your breath from different locations in your body, such as your nostrils, your chest, your belly, whatever you choose. Feel the sensations that accompany it. Is it cool air, tightening, flexing of the abdominal muscles? Keep those sensations in focus moment to moment, and don't force or regulate or think about, just pay attention. Keep track of the one thing, your breath. Keeping track of one thing, such as your breath, increases your power of concentration. And this can bring around a calm and an awareness. It may also help to place your hand over your tummy. If it rises when you inhale and it falls when you exhale, you're on the right track. If you're not used to deep breathing, it can seem a little awkward at first, but you'll get the hang of it. Deep breathing involves relaxing your belly so that your diaphragm, the muscles that anchor your lower rib cage, can push further down and allow more airflow into your lungs. So we're going to invite you to practice breathing for 5 minutes. And it may feel awkward, and that's okay. If you've never done this before, it feels like a really long 5 minutes. I know when I tried it the first time, I didn't think it was ever going to end, but it works and it's okay. So just non-judgmentally go with this. If you've done it before, you're going to find that it's a good time and a good place and space just to breathe. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you a 5-minute breathing meditation that is directed by Diane Whitson, who is the Director of Mindfulness Education with UCLA. And let me pull this up, and she's going to walk us through our breathing exercise, okay? So just hang in there.
Seated on a chair of tightness.
Okay, hang on. Let me start that over. Then have the volume turned up.
Find a relaxed, comfortable position, seated on a chair or on the floor on a cushion. Keep your back upright, but not too tight. Hands resting wherever they're comfortable. Tongue on the roof of your mouth or wherever it's comfortable. And you can notice your body from the inside, noticing the shape of your body, the weight, touch. And let yourself relax and become curious about your body. Seated here, the sensations of your body, the touch, the connection with the floor or the chair. Relax any areas of tightness or tension. Just breathe, soften. And now begin to tune into your breath in your body. Feeling the natural flow of breath. Don't need to do anything to your breath. Not long, not short, just natural. And notice where you feel your breath in your body. It might be in your abdomen. It may be in your chest or throat or in your nostrils. See if you can feel the sensations of breath, one breath at a time. When one breath ends, the next breath begins. Now, as you do this, you might notice that your mind may start to wander. You might start thinking about other things. If this happens, this is not a problem. It's very natural. Just notice that your mind has wandered. You can say thinking or wandering in your head softly. And then gently redirect your attention right back to the breathing. So we'll stay with this for some time in silence, just a short time. Noticing our breath, from time to time getting lost in thought and returning to our breath. See if you can be really kind to yourself in the process. And once again, you can notice your whole body seated here. Let yourself relax even more deeply. And then offer yourself some appreciation for doing this practice today. Whatever that means to you. Finding a sense of ease and well-being for yourself and this day.
Okay. I'm hoping that all of you find yourselves a tad bit more relaxed than when we began. So I'd like to ask you to do another breathing activity with me. And just like we did at the beginning of today's lesson, we did a 30-second breathing count. I'm going to start the timer for another 30 seconds, and I would like for you to count your inhales again during this 30-second period. I will tell you when to stop. You may begin. Okay, you may stop. Did you find that number to be the same, or was it different? Did you find that, did you find that after some controlled meditation and breathing, that your breathing was a little more relaxed? Well, there's some different techniques that we can use to help us focus on that breath or your breathing when you're trying to get that calming feeling. One of the ways is to have a breathing buddy. Now, our slide says that it's for youth, but you know what? We're all young at heart. We're only as old as we feel. So it may be that you want to take a stuffed animal or something, and as you're lying down, put that animal or that stuffed toy onto your tummy and watch it rise and fall. That just gives us a little bit of a visual to help us decide whether or not we are getting in that deep breathing that is our focus. There are also some online sources that through the universities and some medical centers that have guided breathing that will last anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, very similar to the one that we just listened to. The one that we listened to today was from UCLA. There is also one with OSU Wexner Medical Center on mindful practices. And then Dr. Benzo's Mindful Breathing Lab at the Mayo Clinic. All of those would have some breathing meditations to help you. And then there's also breathing apps that are available. Now, these aren't necessarily the best or the favorites, but here are some examples. A Calm app, which has a feature where you can watch the screen for a visual reminder of your breathing steps, or a Stop, Breathe, and Think app. Many of you may already have an app that you find is your favorite, but there are those that are available. And finally, there is a suggestion of a breathing star. And when we're looking at a breathing star, it's a 5-point star. And starting with the arrow, you start at one point, maybe you see my little pointer, and you inhale as you go up to a point, and then you exhale on the way down, and you use your finger to trace around the star as you practice mindful breathing for 5 inhale, exhale breaths. As you just go around, oops, that was a little round, go around the star, practicing that mindful breathing. Can anyone relate to this statement? I will never take breathing through my nose for granted again. And obviously this poor woman is suffering from allergies. Many of us feel that way. And it helps us to form a regular practice of mindful breathing when we set a goal so that we can enjoy the benefits of that breathing. So what I want us to do is to move towards looking at setting a goal for our mindful breathing. Now, many of you are familiar with SMART goals. A SMART goal is going to be specific, it's measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And when we're looking at a SMART goal for mindful breathing, we want a specific goal that we can clearly name. We want it to be measurable, so we want it to have a time that we're going to practice mindfulness. We want something that is attainable and achievable, and that's going to be given your lifestyle. What time can you invest in mindfulness practice? It should be relevant and fit your needs. There should be a time bound on it of a specific target date for your goal. So it could be something similar to this. I will use an app for deep breathing 5 minutes a day, at least 5 days in 1 week. You might think of another goal. In fact, I encourage you to write down a SMART goal for mindful breathing, something that is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely that you can practice in breathing between now and next week's class. I'm just going to give you just a few seconds to do that. Write that down on your paper. If you would like to share those goals with me for accountability at the end of the class, you have my email address. You can send those to me, and then I can check on you next week to see if you were able to meet those goals for an accountability partner. In Full Catastrophe Living, Jon Kabat-Zinn writes, as long as you're breathing, there is more right with you than there is wrong, no matter how ill or how hopeless you may feel. So breathing makes such a difference, and it can certainly calm us. This brings us to the conclusion of our presentation. Here are the references that were used in this week's lesson. You can see that they came from the Mayo Clinic. If you would like to learn more about mindful breathing, this program, or you can find more information about the program at this link. You can also email me if you would like for me to send you a copy of those resources where you can look that up for more information. So I will be, once we get the recording, I will be sending a copy of the recording to you later this afternoon. Again, you can email any questions. I should check and see with Carolyn if there was anything that came in through the chat box.
There are no questions.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you joining us this week. I hope that you're finding this makes a difference. I know that I have been practicing some mindful breathing lately, and it has brought a much more calming effect to me. So I hope that you find the same for yourself. If there are no questions, then we will see you next Monday at 1:30 for mindful eating. I will be sending a link out next Monday morning so that it will be easier to find in your email feed. So y'all have a fabulous and wonderful week.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you.